Hello and welcome. Today I'm on Motocross Chasing the Dream. I know I'm a little late to the party on this one. I bought the game on launch day. I just have not had the time to play or make a video on it. Plus, it took a kind of a minute to get used to how the physics work in this game. But kind of once you get like the air physics down, you can throw some pretty fat whips. The ground physics I'll get to in a minute. But obviously there's going to be bugs and some stuff that needs ironed out, but I'm sure a lot of it the developers are already aware of because they've been upfront about wanting feedback, and a lot of various other channels have made videos giving their feedback on the game, and I feel like a lot of it has been said already. But the main thing I want to talk about, and this kind of applies to the ground physics a bit, but I feel like the biggest leap that they could make in this game is just the suspension. I feel like when you're actually like on the ground, it feels pretty nice. Like the traction feels nice. Oh, we're going long there. Surprised we didn't crash. But anyway, yeah. When you're like actually on the ground and not really bouncing around, it does not feel too bad. But yeah, when it comes to like whoops and I guess braking bumps and stuff like that. It gets a little weird because I feel like the suspension doesn't really have like the rebound or dampening effect really. It just feels very stiff, like it's either compressed or extended. Like there's not really a in between, I guess. Which I feel like another arcade game that I feel like has it down really well would be like MX vs ATV All Out. This is getting a little wild. But that game has, I feel like, a really good like suspension system. It may be a little exaggerated, and on the arcadey side for sure. But when you're playing it, it feels really nice because it feels like all the little bumps and stuff are getting soaked up. This one just kind of feels like you're bouncing off of stuff, I guess, if that makes sense. And I'm sure that's something the developers probably already aware of. I just feel like that's one of the biggest things to make a big difference in a motocross game, especially one where the air physics honestly feel pretty good. I'm sure they're probably going to be tweaked and whatnot here and there. I definitely feel like the gyros could maybe be tweaked, like the throttle and brake gyros. But as far as like throwing whips and stuff, it feels really good. It feels kind of like a weightier reflex to me. Maybe if you were to like mix reflex and alive, I guess. But yeah, no, definitely very fun to just sit here and throw like fat whips, like little kind of turn up whips. That wasn't the prettiest one, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of variation you can do when it comes to the whips. Another thing I want to talk about is what just happened right there. I hope that kind of gets like patched up, because I feel like if you're leaning backwards while landing, which I feel like is a fairly normal thing to do, a lot of times you will just crash and go down and like fall off the back of the bike, which you know, I am glad that it does have some sort of like G-force type thing in the game, just because, you know, games like MXGP in the earlier ones, I haven't really played them in a minute, like the newer ones, but in the earlier ones you could just send it and land whatever and just case off jumps no problem, whereas this one you will actually go down if you're landing super hard. So that is good, but I definitely feel like it needs tweaking, specifically when landing, when leaning back. I was trying to demonstrate there, but there's a few times that I've landed jumps, like tiny little jumps, like maybe jump off this whoop, and I land leaning back, and yeah, I just crash. So just one of the things that I'm sure is probably going to be worked on, but just would like to point it out. But yeah, I feel like honestly the suspension is probably one of the biggest things for me right now, just because I feel like with the MXGP games, like obviously it'd be nice to have freer air physics. Everybody talks about that, but I feel like one of the things that would make a huge difference is if the bike had like a better suspension system going on with the physics, because the bike just doesn't seem connected to the ground in MXGP, and it kind of feels like that a little bit in this game too. In certain spots. So yeah, but again, this is a solid base. I was just kind of saying those things as trying to give back my feedback a little bit, but I am very excited for arcade game because it's nice to switch it up when you're grinding MX bikes or MX Sim or really any of the motocross simulators. It's just fun to have something a little more relaxing, even though this game is actually really hard for an arcade. I know it's kind of supposed to be like a simcade, but it definitely feels pretty arcadey at this point, but definitely, again, not a bad thing. But yeah, the in-air physics feel really good because you can throw some nutty whips. That one was a little goofy. I couldn't really bring it back, but I kind of want to actually get a track marker going. And I know this isn't the only track. It's just, I don't know. I get stuck sometimes just spinning laps, which is a good thing for any motocross game. The fact that you can just sit there and get addicted to spinning laps and trying to get better with no other content in the game, really, that's a very good sign. So I'm going to go ahead and set my reset point right there. I'm just going to try to throw some fat whips now that I've kind of got the system down. That was a pretty big one. The bringing back is probably the thing I struggle the most with. 'Cause yeah, you can throw some pretty nutty whips. That was another pretty good one. Obviously, we didn't bring it back as well, but let's see if we can. Yeah, that was another nice looking whip there. Yeah, I should have shifted. We'll go ahead and reset there. That's one thing too also, is it's pretty hard to actually ride this two-stroke, so you gotta make sure you're like in the right gear, in the power band, which is pretty sweet. Definitely feels how it should be, you know, in real life, because two-strokes are definitely a lot harder to ride. But let's go ahead and reset there. I'm gonna throw some kind of more like turn-up whips, I guess, so you can kind of like throw them like that. Again, didn't bring them back. Let's go over to a new track. Actually, I'll go probably cut the video. Okay, that was kind of a good example of what I was talking about earlier, as far as like leaning back and landing. Like, I feel like that jump wasn't very big, and in real life, if you were landing flat like that, you'd probably lean back to weight that back tire when landing. Whereas, as you see, I just kind of crashed. But either way, we're back on this track, or not back on this track, but we're over on the other kind of motocross track. I like this one. I feel like you can kind of get a little more airtime to kind of practice some whips. This is where I kind of figured it out, I guess, is the best way to put it. Kind of figured out the whips. I am so bad at whipping to the right, though. That's why I've kind of only been whipping to the left. I'm going to try to get better at it. I am really messing up this flow here. Alright. Had to kind of focus for a second, try to get back into the groove. And then, yeah, just a wall here so we can slow up for that. Alright. There you go. That's a pretty good jump for throwing some good whips. Yeah. One thing, I know I don't have my controller overlay. I tried to use it, but the way, I don't know, it pops up with a message saying that the Steam controller support and DS4, which I have to use to overlay the controller through OBS, it said that they might not be compatible and they might you know, overlap each other and cause some problems. So I just figured to turn it off. But I do want to do a video of me just kind of throwing some whips with the controller overlay, just to kind of show how I do it. It's kind of like a rolling motion. Like, while I'm playing, it's easy to see on the screen, but if you haven't played this game, then it might be a little difficult to kind of understand what I'm talking about. But for me, it's like a rolling motion. So for I'll probably run through it on this jump coming up here. But alright, make sure I get. I shouldn't have been in third there. That's alright though. But I kind of pull sticks to the left, and then I roll the right stick, which is the rider lean. I roll that to the side and kind of down, so I go like side. Actually, the rider doesn't have any animations for that, so I can't really show it off well on the ground. But yeah, to the left and then down. So I kind of take the stick and go to the left, roll it down, and kind of roll to the right. And then while I'm in that motion of rolling to the right side, that's when I switch the left stick over to the right to kind of help bring it back. So I'll try to give a decent demonstration, hopefully right here. I'll go ahead and put that marker set, but alright, so bull sticks down and then kind of like swivel over, I guess. That wasn't necessarily the best example. See if we can give a better one, but yeah, that one wasn't really either, but yeah, like that kind of, it's kind of like a swivel, and you kind of like swivel the rider around, so it's definitely different than like, oh man, we've really overjumped that hip, but it's a lot different from like MX bikes to like MX sim. I definitely don't really use that motion. Like MX bikes, it's kind of like scrub both sticks one way on takeoff to like throw a whip. Like that's just kind of how it is, and then you can like either sit down or stand to kind of, you know, add a little more style to your whip, or like turn it into a scrub or something like that. Whereas this game, it's really more just about like flowing with the sticks, I guess is the best way to put it. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I am not good at whipping to the right. It is ridiculously hard, and that is one of the bugs right there. I'll disregard that, but yeah, kind of like it's just, yeah, rolling motion kind of. And sometimes too, you don't even really need to use the rider lean to bring it back. It might just all be in the left stick for the bike. So like here, I'll go rider lean, go back, and then I didn't bring it back, but there I was just using the left stick, which is the bike, to bring it back. So yeah, kind of hard to demonstrate. Ooh, we looped out there. That was kind of funny, but yeah, kind of hard to demonstrate. Like I said, I do want to do a video with a controller overlay. I just didn't want to run into compatibility issues for this one, just because I feel like this video is a little overdue for me. Because I've been just as excited as everybody else for this game and have been following it forever. So, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If there's more stuff you'd like to see, like riding around on the various tracks, like the Supercross track, for example, let me know in the comments. And again, I'm gonna try to do another video where I talk a little more about like how I do whips, because it kind of took me a moment to figure out like the way I like to do them, because I'm sure there's plenty of different ways to throw out the whips. That's the nice thing that I kind of see as far as potential goes. It seems like